It all unfolded just yesterday, an encounter I'll never forget. It marked my very first run in with what people commonly refer to as a Karen. Picture this. I was innocently going about my business in the local Walmart, leisurely gathering some snacks and other necessities. Amidst the aisles, my attention was drawn to a young boy, approximately 8 or 9 years old, who seemed to embody the epitome of a spoiled brat. He repeatedly whined phrases like, "I'm bored, and I want to play my games," while his visibly annoyed mother, whom I'll refer to as EM from now on, responded with dismissive remarks such as, "Go ask someone else," or "I can't give you my phone right now. Mommy is busy." Yes, she genuinely instructed her child to approach a random person and request to use their phone. Now, an important detail to note is that I had brought my trusty second-gen iPod Touch with me, intending to listen to podcasts while I shopped. I deliberately opted for the iPod over my phone due to its longer battery life, even at maximum brightness. As I made my way to the checkout counter with a cart full of groceries, EM and her spoiled brat coincidentally stood nearby. While waiting for my items to be scanned, I had quite a few, I retrieved my iPod to indulge in a game of Angry Birds. It didn't take long for the spoiled brat to notice my activity, approach me with determined steps, prompting me to swiftly close the game and inquire, "Hey, can I play on your phone?" Sensing the need to protect my prized possession, since it was the first thing I ever purchased online using my hard-earned money, I mustered a polite lie and responded, "No, sorry, there are no games on here." The spoiled brat persisted, exclaiming, "Every phone has games. Give it to me," as he attempted to snatch my iPod. Luckily, my reflexes kicked in just in time, allowing me to swiftly evade his grab. Spoiled brat, "Hey, give it to me. I know it has games." "Nay, no, it doesn't. Not all devices have games." Spoiled brat, "Yes, it does. Every phone I've seen has at least one." "Nay, well, mine doesn't." Spoiled brat, "Can't you download some?" "Me, no, it's an old iPod. It can't run any games." Spoiled brat, "But every phone can play games." Sighing, I unlocked my iPod, increased the brightness, which I usually keep at a minimum to conserve battery even though it already lasts impressively long, connected it to the store's Wi-Fi, opened the App Store, and challenged him, saying, "Watch what happens when I attempt to download an app. Which game would you like me to download?" Spoiled brat, "I want to play Stack Colors." I swiftly searched for the game and tapped the download button. Unsurprisingly, a message promptly appeared indicating that Stack Colors was not compatible and required a specific iOS version. Spoiled brat, "What? Why can't I play it?" "Nee, it's simply too old." Spoiled brat, "Why can't it run Stack Colors? And why does it look so different from other phones?" "Nee, it's an outdated device from 2008, almost 14 years ago now." Spoiled brat, "You're lying. Give it to me." At this point, he began frantically scrolling through my home screen, revealing the unsurprisingly scarce collection of apps. Spoiled brat, "Where are all the games?" EM sauntered over, clearly ready to confront me. EM, "Why won't you allow my son play a game on your phone?" "Nee, this is an old iPod. It's incapable of running games. It's nearly 14 years old." EM, "Surely it can play at least one game." "Nee, unfortunately it can't." Feeling the need to prove my point, I returned to the App Store and attempted to download Stack Colors, only to face another predictable failure. EM, "Why can't you just update it?" The cashier notices the escalating situation and starts observing. "Me, it's a 14-year-old device. Do you honestly expect it to run iOS 15? EM, "You idiot. All iPhones can be updated. Are you tech illiterate or something?" Allow me to emphasize something. I am a devoted tech enthusiast, and I take pride in it. The fact that she believes a 14-year-old iPod can run the latest iOS version shakes my head. Nay, not all devices can be updated anymore. EM, "What? Don't lie to me. You just don't want to let my son play on your phone. Give it to me." She tries to snatch the iPod from my grasp. Deciding to prove her wrong, I let her take it, and she begins rapidly scrolling through the Settings app. EM, Where are the update settings? Nay, there are no update settings because this device was made before on-device updates were introduced. Cuts me off, unwilling to listen. You did something to it. Update the iPhone now. She throws the iPod back at me and I swiftly catch it. Finally, the cashier calls for security. Nay, lady, you seem unable to accept a simple no. You're being so rude. I want you to give my son your phone because you won't let him play for 5 minutes. Me, why would I give my iPod to your kid just because I didn't let him play with it? You're being such a jerk. Give it to him now. You made him cry. The kid appears surprised, but far from crying. Nay, I'm not going to give it to him. Attempts to lunge at me, but misses. In an astonishing display, she screams assault at the top of her lungs. I'm left speechless. I was standing about 3 feet away from her. Finally, security arrives and escorts her out of the store. After reviewing the surveillance footage and taking statements from the cashier, they decide to ban her from the premises. It turns out she had attempted similar antics with other people using their phones in the past, and this incident served as the final straw. As she's being dragged out, she shouts, "Screw you!" while raising her middle finger at me. I complete my checkout and exit the store, expressing gratitude to the cashier for promptly contacting security. All of this unfolded within a mere 10 minutes. Last year, a woman named Karen, who was 70 years old, reached out to me on Facebook. She asked if I could take care of her cats while she and her husband embarked on a campervan journey across Europe. Karen claimed to have become wealthy through bitcoins and didn't want to subject her newly rescued cats to the stress of constant travel. These feline companions had been in a cattery under the care of someone else for the past 5 months. When Karen delivered the cats to our farm, she made quite a fuss. Despite having sent her photos of the enclosure we had prepared for them, she vehemently refused to place the cats there during their initial adjustment period. According to her, everything was inadequate. Our dogs were too big, our house was too small, and there were no streetlights, as we resided in a rural area. Throughout her visit, I maintained a composed demeanor, successfully settling the cats into their new home while soothing Karen's concerns. She had brought along an abundance of brand-new cat accessories, such as tiny harnesses and peculiar outfits, which farm cats certainly don't wear, let alone tutus. She seemed slightly happier when we played along with her eccentricities. Eventually, her husband arrived in their extravagant campervan, resembling the tour bus of a famous rock band. Unexpectedly, Karen's emotional intensity increased dramatically. She began wailing and crying for her beloved feline babies, and her husband dutifully attended to her, wiping away tears with his hands and providing unwavering support as she partially collapsed onto our driveway. After some time, they departed, and the very next morning, they posted pictures of themselves sipping champagne on the beach. In the following months, we regularly shared updates with Karen, accompanied by adorable pictures of the cats. She consistently expressed gratitude for our care but never reached out to inquire about their well-being, even during a natural disaster that affected our area. At one point, she had plans to visit the cats, but due to inclement weather, she drove past our remote town without stopping. Whenever we posted pictures of the cats on Facebook, she would always comment about her cats. Last month, I wrote to Karen, informing her that the cats were thriving but occasionally felt a bit chilly and spent their days lounging on the couch near the fireplace. Her response consisted of instructions on how to keep them warmer and a reminder to ensure I was taking care of them. I replied with a non-committal response. Yesterday, I reached out to Karen, informing her that one of the cats had been critically injured after being sideswiped by a tractor. I had stayed up all night, tirelessly trying to keep the cat alive, and she was currently at the veterinary clinic, awaiting life-saving surgery. Suddenly, my phone started ringing incessantly. It was Karen's husband screaming at me through the line. He demanded to know why I persistently upset Karen with my messages and what I gained from doing so. I attempted to respond, but he wasn't interested in listening. He proceeded to hurl accusations, calling me a sadist, a bully, and an abuser. He asserted that Karen had entrusted us with the cats, So why was I disturbing her when she had moved on? I offered my apologies for any offense caused and tried to explain that I believed Karen would want to know since the cats were originally hers and she cared deeply for them. However, he insisted that I delete Karen's number from my phone, never contact her again, and cease providing updates about the cats. I complied, apologizing once more for any inconvenience caused, and he abruptly hung up. 3 hours later, I received a message from Karen expressing her distress over the cat's critical condition. She couldn't bear the thought of the cat being ill, and she defended her husband's actions, claiming he was merely trying to shield her from unbearable pain. In response, I voiced my opinion that it was unkind of her husband to shout at me, especially during a pet crisis when I was simply trying to do the right thing by keeping her informed. However, she responded by calling me a selfish individual and promptly hung up before blocking me. Unfortunately, I didn't get the chance to inform Karen that since the cats were still legally registered under her name, she would be responsible for their expenses. As soon as we arrived at the veterinary clinic, the staff scanned the cat's microchip. We often bring in stray animals, so they know not every animal belongs to us, and it was her name that came up. I anticipate hearing from her when she receives the bank statement for the surgery costs. Meanwhile, the cat is recovering well, and we remain hopeful for her full recovery. She is an integral part of our family, and we certainly haven't moved on from our care and concern for her well-being. This happened just this last week and is the only time that I have ever had the police called on me. So my parents live in an absolutely amazing house with a large amount of lakefront. The neighbors' homes are not nearly as nice, but in general it is a very wealthy neighborhood. My brother lives with my parents, and they all drive nice vehicles. My mom drives a Porsche Cayenne, my dad has a Subaru Ascent, and my brother has a Toyota Tacoma and a BMW M3. I drive a 2001 Honda Civic, which has several dents and scratches. It looks incredibly out of place in the neighborhood, and especially so at my parents' place. So I stopped by in the middle of the day to grab some stuff from my parents' place. We are in the process of selling our home and are storing a bunch of stuff in their garage. So I was rummaging around in the garage looking through the bins until I found what I was looking for, and I loaded up my car and got ready to leave. When I looked out, I saw that the gate was completely blocked by a truck and a car that I did not recognize. So I hopped back out of the car and approached, and I was told by the older woman and the younger man that the cops had been called. I asked why and was told that I was caught in the act of burglary. I tried to explain that this was my parents' place and that I was just grabbing some of my stuff, but they said that they have seen my parents' kid and know what he drives. So I went back to my car and called my dad and told him that I needed him to come to his place because his neighbors think I was breaking in. So he was on his way. Took maybe 15 minutes for the cops to show up, and they beat my dad by a couple of minutes. I had no issues explaining what was going on, and they were definitely on my side. My dad showing up cleared the rest of it up. The cops said that I could press charges for false imprisonment and asked my dad if he wanted to press charges for trespassing. We agreed. They had already had several run-ins with these neighbors with them using equipment without permission, which is why they had been told not to return to the property by police in the past,